ready to start?
I'm born ready. I was born ready. I'm more ready than I've ever been. I've never been more ready than I am right now to do this podcast with you, Joel.
I think you've done the intro.
With you and for you.
With you, for you, with or without
beside you.
Above you. And below you.
Slightly above you.
Oh, you were taller than me, yes. Oh, thank you for
And now I am
coming
below
back
you.
down to my level. Welcome back everyone to the Ship Lunch podcast. It's excellent to have you along with us. I'm wearing pants, just to confirm, not shorts, as Ethan usually wants me to wear shorts. No, you want me to wear pants?
Yes.
Well, always wearing pants, but...
That was the moment of like... Yeah, anyway. You are always wearing pants. We do this podcast clothed.
Very much so. Should make that clear. I don't think I've ever done a podcast without shirts and shorts.
Yeah, good.
Very least.
We like to hear.
Because I've been on most of them next to you, and so I think I would have been a little bit afraid.
Yeah, well, you've always talked about how there's a Joel cancel cut.
There is a Joel cancel cut,
Yeah.
but there's no nudity on that cut.
No. I think that would probably be the last straw, wouldn't it?
It would a little bit.
Yeah, that's very, very disconcerting. Apologies, everyone. Well, we've got a different host on today too, which is Ethan.
Yes, I'm back, baby.
Back. Yep.
Yeah.
Just me, like, steering.
Yeah, I saw Hudson was on the other week.
Hudson was on. Tim
Unreal.
Billhartz was on.
Unreal.
We've had Braden on.
Love it.
But the consistency of this captain of this ship still here.
El Capitan. Captain my captain. I don't know any other things that sound captain-y.
Yeah, I feel
Captain's
like
coming.
there's like Pirates of Penzance and stuff, but I
Sure.
don't know anything about it.
I don't know. So I'm sure I could quote. What I'll do is I'll get home and I'll remember a great quote from Pirates of the Caribbean, but I don't have one on me at the moment.
I could just like talk like Johnny Depp. Ugh. Goodness.
It's not as good if you don't have to run. You gotta like. It's the run with the. Yeah. Okay, we should probably introduce our guest.
No, I'm just thinking. I was going to say
You just need to
the
ask.
reason I made a point about you hosting is because you have annoyed me that you've sat in the spot that I usually sit in.
What do you mean?
I usually sit there.
Oh, do
where
you?
are.
I'm sorry. Do you want to swap?
No,
Let's swap.
I have no. Oh, all right. Let's swap.
We're swapping.
The person you can hear giggling over there is Emily.
Oh,
Welcome.
it's warm.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
There's
am I
nothing-
not supposed to be giggling at this
No,
point?
you
it's
definitely can be
fine.
giggling. We just haven't introduced you, and I
Okay.
felt rude.
Yeah, we haven't introduced you. Lovely Be Kind shirt with a bee on it.
Yes,
Very
thank
cool.
you, thank you. It's
Amazing.
been warm today, so I thought it was the first day I can actually wear short sleeves.
Yeah, it's going to be 29 degrees, and I wanted to wear shorts, but you always force me to wear pants on the podcast.
I think you should
Long
store some
pants.
here.
I should what?
Store some here.
Store some pants.
Let's have them in a pile.
Have you ever seen? Have you seen that show According to Jim?
No. What's according to Jim?
It's just like one of those silly comedy sitcoms back from mid 2000s, and there's an episode where it's all about how he has a spare pair of pants in the car.
Yeah, I think that's a thing that people do.
I don't know,
And then
man.
people like have a suit that they leave in the car.
Do you have a
That's
spare
it.
pair of undies too?
I think that should.
That's
that
like
should
when you
be a
went to
thing.
primary school and they're like, bring a spare pair of undies.
I
in case you soil
had a conversation with someone who keeps toilet paper in the car.
toilet paper.
Toilet paper in the car.
Interesting.
Just you never
Do
know.
you know what? I'm going to admit to the fact I do. I actually
Toilet
do.
paper?
See, there you go.
Because
Yes, but-
I like to have tissues, right?
Yes.
And I feel like the toilet paper is just the gift that just keeps giving.
It is. It is.
Like you
And
never
it's-
run
It's
out.
and it's compact.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's space efficient.
Yep.
It's amount efficient.
You could split the plies if you needed to.
If you really need to. But yeah, but their thing is not for the person who told me that was not. It's not for
Not for
blowing their nose.
tissues.
It's in case of emergency.
Fair
What
enough.
kind of emergency?
I was being vague on purpose,
I know you were.
but I think
it involves
I
poo.
think our intelligent viewers / listeners
Well, there's not many of us.
can interpret. If all of you leave because of Joel, there can be a mutiny. We can
Mutinous. You can be mutinous.
We can be mutinous, or
We're
you
back
can
to
mutiny.
back to
can't you?
Pirates in the Caribbean.
Well, yes,
Caribbean.
because you're calling everyone unintelligent. I think that's mean.
Yeah,
To
only
the
if you
lovely
took-
people
Only if
listening.
you took a joke seriously.
What if it's the internet, Joel?
Yeah,
the
you're
internet.
cancelled.
Yeah, honestly, immediately.
Oh, that would be quite interesting. We should say, yes, proper welcome to Emily. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Now, we might get onto this a little bit later, but you've been rural recently. Is that correct?
I just got back from 10 weeks up north in Ingham, which is like a little town about an hour's north of Townsville.
Yeah, it's in Queensland, isn't it?
Yeah, in Queensland, yeah.
Is that where Ingham chicken comes from?
I think so. I don't know because I was in the supermarket and I saw the Ingham turkey as well.
Oh,
turkey. I was like, maybe this actually is from Ingham.
There you go. Were there any, just to slide into the hot chips conversation?
Okay.
A, how do you like your hot chips? But B, are hot chips better in Queensland?
To be honest, I haven't had a lot of hot chips here in New South Wales. So I can't appropriately answer that, but I would say the fish and chips up in Queensland is pretty elite.
Okay.
So it's pretty good. How I like my hot chips, I had to think about this question because I was going to give a really sophisticated answer. But honestly, I love the French fries, like the greasy, almost soggy Macca's hot chips.
Really?
Which is not a very attractive answer, but that's
I love that. No,
that's
it's
the truth.
great.
Yeah.
It's not about being attractive.
No, it's about
I take care of
about
that.
having the right opinions, and that's a good opinion.
Yeah.
Like it's better than
Did you say it's about having the right opinion?
the right opinion. So whenever Joel answers, it's the wrong opinion.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, because I was like, I'd love to be able to say like sweet potato fries with like just a bit of
Something
Himalayan
classy.
salt, something classy. No,
But no.
it's the truth. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had like
Macca's
people say
chips.
like, "I'll have the thrice cooked chips in duck fat." Blah blah blah. I'm thinking of Todd Brearley, for example.
But as opposed to the Macca's chips cold the day after.
Oh, bro, we always bring that up. Wang,
Wang, what a madman.
inappropriate.
Oh yeah, I can't hang with that.
No.
No.
But Wang is great.
I can hang
and
with
we
Wang.
love him. We love him despite his chip taste.
I love hanging out with Wang.
Yeah.
but I also do not appreciate his cold chip preference.
Yes. Yes.
And would you say that's the wrong opinion?
I think it's funny and so it's okay.
Okay.
Whereas yours is just wrong.
Okay. Well, funny enough, you said that. Shout out to Craig Pring of
Yes.
this parish. That's funny. Of MCC. He sent me an article in the Leader. Now, it's the St George and Sutherland Leader, which I was once on the front page of.
Ooh.
Just
Oh, yes, you were.
yeah, washing a car.
Cool.
Listen to Joel's episode for about an hour of him washing a car.
I tell you what, I could do that.
You couldn't? We could do a podcast around washing a car?
100%.
That'd be pretty
I've
epic.
been learning a lot about.
Okay, no, move. We'll
Car
read the
detailing.
article. Read the article.
Yeah, so apparently this is about the secrets out. Here's the headline: Secrets out, best hot chips in the Shire.
Ooh.
So it's almost like written by an opinion piece by Eva Colomar.
On you, Eva.
On your Eva, it was right on lunch hour when a rather peckish reporter with a craving for arguably the most popular Aussie snack posed a question to the readers of this masthead. Best hot chips in the Southern Shire, go. And then the next paragraph, the Leader Instagram lit up with a whiff of responses. I don't know if it's a lot or less. Each holding the same desire for some salty twigs of goodness. That's how I'd describe this podcast.
Salty twigs of goodness.
Also, stories of Jesus changing everything.
That too.
The most
Either
polled
one.
response from followers, as where one can find the best hot chips, was perhaps not surprising at Cronulla. Where better to just Top Shop at Wanda was the most liked chippy hub.
Okay.
And so a follow-up phone call with the owner, with the owner Brian. We actually don't go out of our way to publicise ourselves. You hear about those places that just go off word of mouth. That's us, he said. We're just a little local cafe.
Classy.
I haven't been to Top Shop.
Yeah, what is it? Top Shop?
Top Shop, where it's like that's a clothing
Shop.
brand. Top Shop.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, it's
The
also...
US. Is it in Australia?
I don't know. Is it? I think it might
It's
be now.
US.
No, it's
it?
actually UK.
Is it?
It's from the UK.
There you go.
Well, it's also from Cronulla.
It's
And
also from Cronulla.
if
Maybe
we should do a tour.
we should increase the custom at Top Shop. Is that the one in the kind of the house
I have no
near
idea.
Wanda? I think it is. It's like yeah, it is. There's like the balcony, and they use that for people to sit on.
Delightful.
Yeah, at Wanda Beach. So,
So if you want the best hot chips in the Shire, apparently it's
Don't
at
point
Wanda
at
Top
people,
Shop.
it's rude.
I'm pointing at that. It's get in the comments
oh,
and get excited about what you think are the best chips in the Shire.
I would really
and let
love-
us know if you have them.
you know what? I would really love people to get in the comments, because when people get in the comments every single one of the Shock Absorber episodes, it's got over 1,000 views now.
Yeah, which
So
is very epic.
get in the comments, and I'll reply to every single one every single person personally
Yep.
from the Survival account who posts a comment.
Particularly if you tell us what your favorite chips are. But
Yes,
also
yes.
say something encouraging about the podcast because that's always wholesome.
We love you, even if you're not intelligent. Let's go back to Emily. Oh, that's the heart. Cool. You have to watch that on YouTube.
These days.
What I
Oh,
was trying
that's
to
what
do.
nicely
I
done.
can't remember how to
my
do
fingers
it.
don't go that way.
No, but yours is obvious
Do
what
they?
you're doing. Yeah.
Do you reckon?
So
I feel
you're
like
just-
this is so much better.
Oh yeah.
That's just
We're making
like
a heart,
bit
everyone. If you're
awkward.
listening, it how to make a heart with your fingers. I don't do it though. It's past my generation. I think it is more your generation, Emily. Because like football players when they score goals and stuff do that now. Then they're like,
Oh, football players were doing like, no, it wasn't football players. It was the Olympics. They were all doing like anime inspired celebrations.
wasn't that just that one particular?
No. There was heaps of them.
American
I
sport?
saw a little thing of them. There's heaps of them all doing certain things with their hands. But yes, there was that one guy who had Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Oh yeah.
He would bring everywhere, which was pretty epic.
Let's go back to Emily.
I think we should.
We're just spending some time catching up. I think, Ethan.
I haven't hung out with Joel in ages.
Yes, that's what you get when you go to college.
I know.
Miss out on
I
me.
know. I do. It's
Emily,
so sad.
let's ask the most important question that we like to ask on this podcast,
Mm-hmm.
which is, how did you become a Christian?
I
This is an attractive answer.
it's not the most exciting answer, but it's still God's story. So
And your story.
and my story, yeah. I feel like I've always been a Christian. Like my parents were Christians. Mum grew up as a Christian, and my dad became a Christian when he was a young adult. So they kind of raised me and my two brothers as Christians. But I would also say we weren't like the hectic, on fire, like at church every Sunday kind of Christians. We were like, the weather's nice, let's go out on the boat this weekend. And then, yeah. And then there'd be periods of life where we'd go to church every weekend, and then there'd be periods where we wouldn't go for months. I feel like I'm so grateful I was raised Christian, but I didn't really find it for myself, I guess, properly until probably uni, late years of high school, probably uni. And then I found a church at uni and I started going regularly. And I was actually part of the worship team. And honestly, part of the reason I would go every week was because I'd be rostered on for worship, which is so bad. But like sometimes I would literally be going just because I'd be rostered on. And then it wasn't until I was going regularly that I kind of realized, it's actually important to be in community and like try and grow my relationship with God. And then that's kind of from there.
Part B that I always like to ask is that you said that you're really committed to being a Christian kind of late high school, early uni. What do you think changed for you in that respect, or in terms of your life?
Well, I was actually in my school. We had three, I went to a Christian school, and we had like three school captains. So there were two kind of everyday school captains, and then there was the chapel captain, who was technically one of the school captains, but kind of took care of all the chapel side of things and like the Christian. And I was chapel captain in year 12. And so I kind of feel like that role made me realize if I've been put into this role, I actually need to take it seriously and like be living as a bit more of an example. And I feel like that year changed for me because I was in the role of being chapel captain. And then uni, to be honest, going to church regularly was important, and that's something that probably made me like grow as a Christian. And then also I went on this camp in my third year of uni that I feel like was kind of the turning point for me a bit. That was like, from there onwards, I would say I've been like very much committed to trying to live as a Christian.
Was that like a talk or a conversation?
Yeah, so I went with a friend, one of my best friends, Elna, who went to the same church as me at the time, and she was a year above me in medicine. And we kind of both got roped into going to this camp. And honestly, neither of us wanted to go. It was in our uni holidays, and we're like, kind of feel bad to get out of it, but I know it's honestly embarrassing. Like I feel so bad.
That noise, you went, I love that noise. It's so funny. Yeah, keep going.
But we kind of both were like, we'll just go, we'll have fun together. And so we went along to this camp, and for the first 2 days or so, I remember being like, this is boring. Like all we're doing is just reading the Bible all day and doing comprehension activities, and I'm bored. And
For third year uni, that seems a bit.
it was a bit intense, to be fair. But then one night there was this one sermon, and it went for ages. It was like 9 o'clock at night. I was like, okay, I'm tired. Like, let's wrap it up. Let's go. Time to go to bed. And I know this is bad.
No,
but
it's not bad. It's funny. It's just funny.
But the sermon was on the cross. Like the whole theme of the camp was on the cross and like the resurrection and all of the meanings, which to be honest, I actually genuinely didn't have an understanding of what the cross actually meant at that stage of life. Like I'd grown up as a Christian, but I didn't understand all the stuff in Leviticus and like all the sacrifices and all that and how that related to Jesus. I didn't understand at that point. So it was kind of that sermon that had breakthrough for me where I was like, wow, it all makes sense, like the Old Testament leading to Jesus. And then something just moved in that sermon where I really felt like the Holy Spirit. I felt like overwhelmed by love from Jesus. And I, for the first time, understood the love of Jesus at the cross, which I'd kind of heard of. And I was like, yeah, Jesus loves me. But it wasn't until that moment that I saw God's heart in all of that. And I remember Elnay and I like went back to our dorms after the sermon and we just cried together. Like we were both so just overwhelmed, and we're not criers. Like I'm not usually a person who cries a lot, neither is she. And we just kind of cried together for a bit and was like, that is overwhelming. And then from that, the rest of the camp was like the best thing ever. We were like loving getting into the word and like doing all the comprehension activities and like, yeah, this is the best. Yeah. So I feel like that's kind of where everything changed around that time, just surrounding myself with Christian community and yeah.
No, that's really lovely. Can I rewind a little bit? Where did you grow up?
I grew up a little bit all over the place. So my dad's in the army. He's a doctor as well. So we kind of had two things because the army would send him places and then his training courses with medicine would also send him places. Yeah, right. So mostly grew up in Townsville. I was born in South Australia, moved around like 10 times before I could probably walk, and then settled in Townsville for my primary, like preschool and primary school. And then my parents took us me and my brothers out of school for a year. We went traveling overseas. Then we ended up in Cairns for a few years. And then finally, since high school, I was in Townsville until the start of last year when I got sent with uni.
So when you say you got sent with uni, what does that mean? Like sent out of a cannon or sent in the post?
So I'm studying medicine, and in my courses, which is a 6-year degree, you do the first 4 years in Townsville, which is the home base, and then the last 2 years they'll send a bunch of people to Mackay and a bunch of people to Cairns. And I was one of the people who got sent to Cairns. Which is...
You seem disappointed in those.
No, so I would have been really happy. I probably would have preferenced to go to Cairns if not for the fact that I'd literally just gotten engaged and was like, well, I'm supposed to be getting married next year. But honestly didn't matter in the end because I got sent to Cairns and then Elliot got sent to Sydney with the army. So, yeah.
Can I get your opinion on Mackay? Because I'm sure you've probably been there. I went there... My wife and I, Karen, went there on our honeymoon because we went to Airlie.
You went there for your
No, hang on. We went to Airlie Beach for our honeymoon.
Okay.
But we like got a car and drove around a bit.
Yeah.
And I went to Mackay. I'm like, I hate this place. I don't know why, but it was just like, this place sucks.
Yeah. Everyone. So in my course in medicine, everyone dreads 5th year because they're like, please don't let me be the person who gets sent to Mackay.
Oh, and what's wrong with Mackay?
It's like a shipping town.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, everyone's like, oh, it's close to Airlie Beach, it's close to the Whitsundays, but really no one actually can afford to go to any of those places as a uni student. Right. So you're just like in Mackay, which is this whole kind of place.
I thought you were going to say it's just a hole.
It's just a hole.
Yeah. No, it is. It is just a hole.
Because I think it's like, it's got a lot of shipping and stuff, and that's kind of all it has. But it's not very big either.
No, it's not very big, no.
It was 14 years ago. But
yeah, it's not much has changed.
We just like, we'll go check out Mackay. And we drove around like, there's nothing here.
Yeah.
And I just, if you can imagine how annoyed I am now, imagine how annoyed I was 14 years ago as a less mature person. What is this place?
Yeah.
But, okay, cool.
So grateful at least I got sent to Cairns and not to Mackay.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you think the difference is in growing up in Queensland compared to New South Wales? Is there any big differences? It's warmer.
Definitely warmer.
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't grow up in New South Wales, obviously, but I think it's very like the area. So North Queensland, which is where I was, which is obviously different to Brisbane, but North Queensland has like a very chilled, laid back way of life. You're barefoot most of the time as a kid. You're kind of like, my family was very outdoorsy. So there was lots of like things to do on the weekends, like swimming. We went to the beach, out on the boat, like all of that sort of stuff. I think I feel like, I don't know this for sure because I haven't spent heaps of time in Sydney, but probably I feel like Queensland's a lot more like bogan, I guess. I feel like, yeah, in like a good way, I guess. Not in a bad way, not in a good way, just like, yeah.
It would, like what though? What do you mean?
Like the people I went to school with were just like,
Yeah, Emily.
yeah, like that, exactly.
Yeah, Emily, what are you doing?
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Like that kind of, that was
awesome,
like
yeah.
the sort of people, which is great. I mean, not a bad thing, but yeah, I think there was a lot of country kids that I went to school with. I feel like it's quite a conservative as far as Australia goes. It's pretty conservative area of the world.
Say that you think like maybe because is there a lot of farming out there?
Yeah.
Banana plantations?
Yeah, there's some banana planting up in like Ingham and Innisfail and stuff, but mostly cattle farms out in the west, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, well, that makes sense. Farmers are the backbone of our country, isn't it?
That's it. Them and trucks. Farmers and trucks.
Farmers and trucks. It's true though, but I wouldn't be a farmer for anything. It's hard work. Yeah, which is probably why they're partly more conservative. Like, don't take away anything that we've already just worked so hard for.
Yeah.
I remember talking to a guy that I know that he's taken over his family's farm, and he's like, it's just 1 year, like 2 years in a row, you'll be in profit, and the next year you'll be like $1 million in the red and stuff. So yeah, it's hard work.
Yeah, wow.
You said you went to a Christian school though too, Emily.
Yes.
What was that like? Was that from kindergarten?
No, where did I go?
Oh no, because you were in South Australia first.
Yeah, so I started school in Queensland, but I kind of went to a couple of primary schools, and then we were homeschooled for the year that we were overseas, and then the high school I went to was an Anglican school. I don't know if that means a lot. Like, we got a Christian education class once a week and had chapel once a week, but like the people I went to school with, I think there was one other Christian in the entire year who was openly Christian. So it was a Christian school, but not that there were like a lot of Christians at the school.
You have a question then?
Sure. This role of school captain / chaplain.
Yeah, the third captain.
The third captain. I think that's a really cool concept. But how, and you said that was helpful as you realized you had to take it a bit more seriously.
Yeah.
What did that look like? Like the taking itself more seriously side of things?
I think it meant that as a year 12 student, when all the other year 12 students were kind of doing the things that year 12 students sometimes do, it was kind of like I had to be a bit of more of an example of like, that's not what we do as Christians. Like, I'm not going to go out and get wasted at that party because I'm supposed to be an example.
Was that a culture?
At my school?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Other things, I feel like it was just like writing speeches and stuff and having to stop and think about what I'm actually writing and whether I'm applying that to my life. Yeah.
Very cool. And so fast forwarding into uni, and maybe even more so the last 3 years, how long ago were you in third year?
3 years
3 years ago?
Nearly 4.
Yeah, so the camp was in third year, so about that amount of time ago.
Yeah.
How have you found being a Christian in that space, particularly in medicine where it's really competitive and all that stuff? What's
since then onwards kind of thing?
Either way, like, is there a difference between both?
You have to spend a lot of time doing medicine.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty intense.
Wait, so what? I'm sorry, what's
the question is, what's it like being a Christian at uni?
Oh, at uni. Okay. It's tricky, I think. Like, honestly, there's barely. I mean, I feel like medicine actually, there's more Christians than you would expect. There's more Christians in the medical field than probably other university degrees.
So maybe teaching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But at the same time, we're completely outnumbered by non-Christians.
Sure.
And I think the whole culture, like medicine, people are known for being the wild people because you kind of study hard, you're expected to party hard and
Work hard, play
it's
hard.
a very, like, I think people think I'm very, it's funny. I was talking to someone actually and they made some comment about me being very Christian. And it's just, I'd never thought of myself as like very Christian. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm a Christian, but it was kind of nice almost to hear someone be like, oh yes, and you're very Christian.
You are very.
I don't think he meant it as like a compliment, but I was like, yeah, I am.
Why did
I'll
he
take
say
what I
that?
could
though?
get.
I think he was one of the people I went to Fiji with because I did a placement over in Fiji.
Oh, okay.
One of my emergency terms earlier this year, and I think we were talking about me being married young compared
Yeah,
to
okay.
the other students, and
You're even still at uni. I
yeah,
think,
yeah. And I think a few people, well, I know a few people thought I was weird for doing that. But we were having a conversation about that and he's like, oh yeah, no, I didn't think it was too weird because obviously I know you're like very Christian. And I was like, oh, okay.
That just makes you sound like a full-on fundamentalist.
Well,
like
that's the
crazy.
thing. Yeah. I was like, anyway. I'm trying to think if I've even answered the question yet. I've kind of forgotten what it was.
No, you're telling us what it's like being a Christian
Oh,
at
yeah.
uni.
Yeah. So definitely, I think it's definitely had to change a lot because at the beginning of uni, I was happy to be just like a Christian on the side and like, you know, a uni student on the other side. And that was kind of an easier way to fit into a group of people. But it was over like the next couple of years that making a Christian, like that's my main thing. That's like who I am. And I'm a uni student within that.
Yeah.
I feel like that has been a bit of a change of like, it's a bit harder to be a uni student who is a Christian than to be like a Christian and a uni student, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's more. I feel like what you're saying is it became more and more your identity the longer you've been at uni. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely.
That's pretty cool. And I think it like for people to be seeing that, like some people be, oh, she's very Christian, and then they're like, oh, we'll break it down, kind of thing. Whereas it's the other way around, you're becoming more and more, obviously or overtly Christian.
Yeah.
I think that's a really cool witness because that's what it feels like your kind of process has been, or maturation process. just dropping stupid words today. My question also was kind of, you said that you went overseas and were homeschooled.
Yes.
Where did you go overseas and
So
what was that?
Yeah. So when I was 8, I was grade 3 or something like that. My
Oh, is that
parents, it was ages ago.
Sorry.
My parents took me and my brothers out of school, and mum was a teacher, so she homeschooled us for the year while we traveled all around Europe and America, and it was really cool. And then we did that again when I was 12. They took us out of school again and did the homeschool thing.
How long did you travel for in those times?
It was about, I think the first trip was 9. We lived in the Solomon Islands for 3 months, and then we traveled for the rest of the year, so 6 months, so about 9 months overseas. And then the second trip was similar. We also did the last 3 months in the Solomons.
That's epic.
What's the link with the Solomon Islands?
So Dad did work over there with Army and the doctoring.
Okay. There you go.
Very cool. While we're talking about traveling, you've spent the last little while, I've also fast forwarded again back to uni.
That's right, we're jumping around.
We're jumping around. That's okay. While we're talking about traveling, you've been mentioning different placements you've done. Where have you been, and what's it been like?
So the first few years, the first 3 years of uni, we just do lectures and kind of that, like the knowledge base. But we still do a couple of placements out rural. So I've been to a couple of different rural communities in Queensland. Last year was the first, I elected to do a 3-month trip out to Mount Isa, which was like this rural community out in like Western Queensland. It's like a mining community. So I did a placement out there for 3 months, which was awesome. And then this year's been a fair bit all over the place. So I started off in Cairns, then I went to Fiji for 5 weeks, and then just got back from Ingham for 10 weeks.
Amazing.
Yeah.
What's it been like to? I'll start with Fiji, because Fiji's probably the most different. If that's, I guess they're all pretty. Anyway, well, actually, they're all really different. So, what's it been like doing the same job in all of these different places?
It's been mind-blowing, honestly.
Yeah?
Like comparing Cairns and just like the kind of demographic you see in Cairns to even Townsville. When I was doing placement in Townsville, it was different. But Mount Isa was very eye-opening because there's a high Aboriginal population out in Mount Isa, and so a lot of the presentations you'd see in the hospital were like quite different to what you would expect to see in Townsville, Cairns. That was like quite eye-opening because it was like, it's still Australia, and yet there's such a difference in the health outcomes for like the Aboriginal population and non-Aboriginal population. And a lot of the acuity and like emergency situations were very intense. Fiji was again this like complete life experience because these people are so poor, like all of them are just very, financially poor. But they're all just such beautiful people. Like they're so happy. Even in the hospital, they're so grateful for everything. But they all only come to hospital when they're literally about to die. So it's kind of like, I wish you could have come in a little bit earlier.
It might have been head this off.
Yeah. But that was, very interesting medical experience in Fiji.
Where in Fiji were you?
In Lautoka.
Yep.
So there's like Suva's, I think, the capital, and then that's over one side, and then on the other side there's like Nandi, Lautoka.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say your Isa had been opened?
Yeah. That was so good.
Oh, that's
How long were you sitting on that for?
A long time. I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh, that's awful.
When I went to Mount Isa, Isa had been opened.
I was still in Fiji, and I'm like, where is the joke here?
So that's the thing I wanted to do in Mount Isa, but then you went straight into Fiji.
I went straight into
and
Fiji.
I'm like,
I'm
I can't
sorry.
interrupt.
I'm sorry.
I can't interrupt too often. I was going to ask you about the doctors thing. Are you into the like kind of YouTube community of doctors that are about studying and stuff, and like study with me and all that stuff?
No.
Okay.
Honestly, probably not. Like, I guess sometimes I'll see like reels and stuff of that kind of thing, but I don't know. I kind of don't see. I love medicine. Like, don't get me wrong, I love it. I think I'm so blessed to do it, and it's the best thing ever. But it's not really my hobby. You know, like I have. It's not my like. Some people, it's like, come study with me. It's my personality. It's kind of more something that I have hobbies, and then I also love doing medicine, but I'm not going to sit at home and watch study with me videos personally.
Sometimes I use them when I'm doing, like I need to concentrate.
Really?
Yeah. I kind of like it. But there's there is that subset of community where it's like, there seem to be a lot of people doing medicine and they're like, because they're doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Obviously. I think that's part of it. But they'll do, I don't know if you've seen it, Heath, but they do like 3-hour study with me videos, and it's like, but sometimes I'm like, if these guys are meant to be uni students, they have like the sickest setup where they are. And they have like a, what's it called? I know the name, where you put like essential oils in it and it.
Oh, like the diffuser?
Diffuser.
Yeah.
They have like a diffuser going, and they've got all their setup, and they make it like look amazing, and it's like in an apartment in New York. I'm like, how can you afford to be in an apartment in New York being a student? Or even, I guess people in Cambridge. And it all comes from, there's a guy called Ali Abdal, who I really like on YouTube, because he started his account doing study videos, and he was studying to be a doctor.
Oh, yeah.
But then he ended up just turning that into a full business. So now he does personal development videos and that kind of thing. But
cool.
He plays first in medicine and at Cambridge.
Oh,
and stuff
wow.
like that. So
That's hectic.
yeah, but he talks about study tips and all that kind of thing. Do you have any study tips? Because you obviously got to do a lot of study.
Oh my
tips.
gosh.
Studying.
Yeah. I feel like I don't even know what I've been doing for the last 6 years, because it's like everything changes and somehow I make it through. But study tips, I think definitely having a morning routine helps me a lot. Like I feel like when I'm at uni, it's so helpful to like get up and go to the gym and have a shower and be clean and just like presentable
Yeah.
before I get into study. And then having that routine has really helped me.
It's just like your version of work, right?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like I like highlighting and reading stuff but no, I don't really have any study tips. I don't know if people should copy what I did.
Which is what? Like just, yeah. I want to delve into this stuff because I don't think I had very good study habits. And our editor, Hudson, is just started uni. So I thought like, and if anyone's listening, just if anything has worked for you, that like what helps you recall things?
I feel like sometimes I would record me reading stuff and then play that back. So then I could just be like walking and listening to content rather than like having to sit down and always be like, oh, this is the time I'm now studying. So I feel like that was helpful. Definitely group study is so helpful. Like being able to sit in a group and ask each other questions and teach is really helpful. But what else was good?
I've heard active recall is good.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Asking yourself questions about the 100%. Content that you're studying.
I used for my 5th year exams, which were our massive like whole of 5 years content.
Oh,
it was hectic. I used Anki.
Yes, I've heard of this.
Yeah, it's so good.
Flashcards?
Flashcards, yeah. So I actually had someone else's Anki deck and you could kind of modify it to suit you. But that was super helpful because it was like you would look at the question, you'd have to think about it yourself and then get the answers.
Yep.
And then also I downloaded a couple of apps that had just big question banks. So I think that's honestly the best way to study, to be honest, is like asking yourself questions.
What are you doing?
This is Anki.
Do you use that for college?
Why is it Greek?
Because I'm learning Greek.
I thought you were showing people the app.
No,
like,
this is
Anki.
This is the
I use it all in Greek.
This is my Anki app. And
Cool. So you use Anki as well?
Nice. Yeah. Lewis uses it much better than I do, but and much more consistently than I do.
Yeah.
But I use it just for Greek, whereas he uses it across the board.
Yeah.
And it's really helpful. It's just a great little.
So apparently, and I learned this from this Ali Abdal guy. So there's a forgetting curve.
What is it?
So as you learn something, it's on basically a curve, and it comes like the longer it is between doing the active recall, the more likely you are to forget it.
Oh yeah.
So the idea is to keep that forgetting curve only dropping down a little bit, and then so you remind yourself and go back up again, and then the more you do that, the more likely you are to remember it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I know I would definitely I'd get my calendar out and say I have this amount of content to cover before the exams. So every day I would they talk about medicine like being an elephant, like you've got to have a bite a day. You can't just expect to eat the elephant the day before the exams and be fine.
Totally.
So I would just like split up all the content into one every day of the calendar and like have one day a week off or something. And then I would recover all of that content again at least 3 times before the exams.
Do you like doing that?
I think I actually enjoy study. I feel like when you get into the groove of it, it's fun. If you're doing something you enjoy, it shouldn't be like the biggest drag. But at the same time, a lot of the time it was discipline. Like I wouldn't wake up every morning and be like, I'm so excited to study. Like most of the time I'd be like, I want to cry. This is not, I don't want to study right now.
But you don't cry.
I don't cry.
Nice.
But yeah, I think a lot of the time it is just discipline and being like, I must do this.
Another tip that I learned, and this is, like I said, this is from YouTube, but like in Notion, which is what a lot of these guys use now, is that app called Notion. But you have like there's a thing you can do as a toggle. And so you write the question about the content, and then underneath you summarize the content, but you keep the toggle closed. So you have to ask yourself the question. So you write it as a question, and then you have to see how much you can remember, and then you open up the toggle and then go, I've missed that, and then you close it again, and then getting people to test you on and stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I wish I had those tips when I was doing HSC. Because HSC, I just wrote notes and notes and notes, and it was not effective.
Yeah, honestly, I look back on my first few years of uni, and I'm like, what the heck was I doing? I had because in high school we'd use all the exercise books, so I just got a bunch of exercise books and came to medicine and was like trying to handwrite out all of the learning stuff, which was not possible to do. Like I needed to use a bit of help with the laptop and stuff like that.
Yeah. But also you remember stuff better when you write it down.
Yeah,
at
I
the
do
end.
like writing, but
Well.
not writing everything.
But actually, you said that doesn't work for you, Ethan.
No, it does. It's great. It's
Oh.
fabulous. I much prefer writing.
Oh no, you
but
said,
I
I
just
think
don't-
you said you'd lose the notes or something when you're taking sermon notes.
Yeah. So
okay.
I would like I'd if I bring a little book to church, I'd lose the book. So I write sermon notes on my phone in a way that's a little bit easier, and I have them all in one place, and so I don't lose them. Particularly since I really like, if I ever have a passage that I have to preach on, I'll refer back to a sermon that someone else has done, which is I find
Cool.
really helpful.
And do you go back and look at them like after?
For on a Tuesday when I do Bible study,
Yeah.
I will re-look at the notes I took from the weekend.
Interesting.
Yeah, we did. I do that in my
And so that
community
kind
group.
of does a little re-jig
That's cool.
of what happened in the sermon.
That's what I liked it in our community group, because there's quite a number of people would go to different gatherings. We talk about what sermon did you hear this week, because someone preached differently. So I've got my notes from Saturday night, but Fee, who goes on Sunday night, will usually hear Jai preach. So if Stu's preached on Saturday and Jai's preached on Sunday, you get two different things. And then someone there is usually from Sunday morning at Kirrawee. So then they've got that. So that's to have the notes is heaps better to run the study, I find.
Yeah, totally. And it just means that you've spent some time reflecting on it rather than just absorbing it. What I'm not very good at is sitting in a lecture or in a sermon and just attempting to just listen,
Yeah.
because it just hits me and then kind of.
Do you know what someone
bounces
does
off.
actually? One of my friends, I've never done this, but she swears by it. She gets an exercise book and she gets a pen and she'll be like looking at the lecturer and listening and just scribbling. And like apparently
Like trying to write it, but
no,
obviously not.
just scribbling, not even trying to write down. But apparently the act of like writing and listening triggers your brain to kind of hold on to important things. So you look down at her
That's
notebook
awesome.
and she's just got literal scribble on the page. But yeah, she says it
Prepping to be a
works.
doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, with bad writing. I've always, like, as the same thing, I've heard that typing either on your phone or with the keyboard isn't as effective in helping you remember things.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of tech coming out at the moment that's really cool. That I think Apple's doing a bit of it with the iPad, where you can write with the Apple Pen and it turns into text, like
There's that
Okay.
little
That's cool.
remarkable
types.
tablet thing.
And then
Have you seen that?
then you've got the Remarkable tablet, which is just bananas.
crazy.
Like it's you know those I don't know if you had these when you were a kid, but
Etch a Sketch. It's almost
Etch a
like-
Sketch, yeah, where you like you drew on it and then you like twisted the thing.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
it disappeared.
Yeah.
So these Remarkable tablets are just Etch a Sketches on an amazing like level. Like instead of the little circles, the circles are really, 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 really tiny, and so you can't really tell. But it means that you can like upload a PDF and like write on the PDF
Wow, that's
and take
helpful.
notes and save them all. It's very
That's
very
awesome.
cool. So they're all the rage.
Yeah.
It's every man and his dog at college has one of those.
Oh, they've all got a remarkable, have they?
Not all, but yeah, there's a bunch of
A lot
people
of
with
them.
Remarkables, which is pretty epic. But
Yeah, I've seen it advertised to me on YouTube. They look pretty cool.
they look pretty epic. But yeah, so I walked away for a moment. Have we just been talking about study techniques and things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Excellent.
we're talking
Is there anything that, particularly on the discipline side of things or on the studying side of things, that translates or to your own personal devotional life?
about. Great question.
As in,
Your Bible reading and prayer and do
so
you,
not related to study or?
not related to study,
Okay.
but do you, like, some people take notes and some people go on walks and do the things that you
yeah.
said, but
Yeah.
what?
It's definitely been something I've been trying to work on, being disciplined with that aspect for the last few years, which I never used to be. I never used
Does
to.
this coincide with you starting to go with Elliot?
Actually, yes, he's
Yeah.
such a disciplined
what I'm
person. It is like ridiculous. It's actually hard to be his wife sometimes because he's like, right, let's go. We're going for a run this morning. And I'm like, I'm tired.
I love that dude.
He's
That's
like,
awesome.
discipline.
Yeah. I appreciate it.
But yes, it does a little bit coincide. Although I would like to say that I think it started a bit before I met Elliot.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
Okay.
he has just helped me a lot with that.
God was preparing you.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely, I think like Bible reading is something that I'm trying to be very disciplined with over the last few years. I think I never used to wake up and read the Bible. It just wasn't something I'd do it maybe like every couple of months. I'd be like, oh, let's see what God has to say. Whereas now it's like I wake up and that's the first thing I do. Like I'll grab my breakfast and I'll read the Bible while I'm having breakfast and spend some time in prayer and that sort of thing.
I agree. yeah, something I've been trying to do the last few years, and it's so good.
Yeah.
You just don't
100%.
realize how, like, if you look back on it over like a longer period of time, you're like, oh, this is making a difference. Like
100%.
a big difference. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Are you an early riser?
I am. I'm a morning person. I'm not a late night person at all. So that is a struggle for me on Saturday nights. Yeah, definitely morning person.
Are you like wake up with the sunrise or before the sunrise?
It depends. I would love to wake up every morning before sunrise and watch the sunrise, and throughout, like, depends what time of year it is, because often at 6 o'clock in the morning it is dark. So I'm always up at 6.
Yep.
But then some mornings, like at the start of the year, if it's like getting light early, I'll be up at 5:30. And then some mornings I just want to sleep in, so I'll wake up after the sun's up. But yeah.
Like you wake up and the sun's up, it's probably like 6:15 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, that's
Yeah.
Your waking up after the sun's up and my waking up after the sun's up are very different things.
Different.
The sun's a bit higher by the time I get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was saying to someone, I missed. I have 3 Greek classes this week that all start at 8 o'clock in Redfern, which
Do you
means
really
I have to
wanna
wake
put
up at
this-
6:45.
Yeah.
And
Do you really want to put this on the podcast?
I've been skipping my Thursday Greek classes.
Oh my gosh.
'Cause I'm like, I just can't get up 3 days in a row at 6:45.
Yeah.
It breaks me as a
Yeah.
human.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will
Yeah,
say
I fall
Mondays I
apart.
love to wake up early. Like that's
my
the day
goodness.
I'm like, yes.
Oh my goodness, the
But by
worst
the
day.
time it's like Thursday, Friday and I've been up early every day
Yeah.
through the week, I'm kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm so tired now. I don't really want to get up. But I got one of those sunrise alarm clocks. Have you seen them?
no.
They're so good.
I think I know what you're talking about. Keep going.
It's this alarm clock that you can like program to say, hey, I want to be up at 6 a.m. Like I want to wake up at 6 a.m. So at 5:30 it will start like lighting and like it's
Like
As if this-
as if the sun is rising.
as if the sun's rising, but it like becomes this lamp that kind of slowly turns on for half an hour until it's 6 o'clock, and then it's the room is lit up.
I love that.
It's great. And then if you're not up by then, you can always just program it to be a normal alarm clock just in case. But
That's great.
it's so good. You should get one.
That is
I
really
should get
cool.
one. I will get one.
Well, that's the thing.
Link in
I've
the
been
bio.
thinking because I like myself and 2 of my children. We wake up around the same time. Basically, something to do with the sunrise.
Okay.
Where is it? So, like, I understand you saying, like, the latest I got up this week was 6, and I've been getting up before 6.
Yeah.
But then I got tired.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know why, but I was just like, oh, and I went to bed too late. That was my problem. But there's this thing of like, how do you, like, how much your body clock is influenced by the sun. And because then even I was trying to get up early during that really cold period of like June, July, and I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
100%.
It
Yeah.
frustrated me so much. I was getting so angry at myself.
Yeah.
Like, maybe just give yourself a little bit of a break
Yeah. Yeah.
and realize that the sun is not up yet.
Yeah. No, definitely in winter I take it a bit slower than like summer. I love to wake up early, but winter it's kind of it's a struggle.
I'm loving it being lighter
yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
It fires me up, Ethan.
You guys are
Excited.
mad.
And then
Absolutely
and then bro,
mad.
and then you got to follow up with a cold shower, bro.
Absolutely.
That's how
Oh,
you do
Elliot
it.
does it every morning.
Yes,
does.
Elliot.
He has
Come
like
on.
all through the winter he's like
Yes.
freezing shower. And
Oh,
now he's
perfect.
trying to get me into ice baths and I'm like,
Yes, Elliot. I need to hang out with Elliot more often. It's sick. Yeah.
You do. Shudder at the thought.
I know, and I'm such
Shudder
a
at the
sook when it
thought.
comes to the cold. I'm like a warm tropical North Queensland
Oh,
girl.
that's
I
true.
love the heat. Give me a summer day in Townsville any day, but winter here and I'm like, like it's freezing.
I was a bit annoyed at myself this year because I went off cold showers for a while. Because like 2021, I had two warm showers all year. And like, I want
Are you
to,
serious?
yeah, I want to do that again. But
Wow.
No.
I was just like,
That's
I
crazy.
couldn't get there this year.
Oh no, I love like a scalding shower.
So
Elliot
do I,
loves it.
but not
You do?
now. Like, oh yes, but now I'm just like,
But do you enjoy your showers then if they're cold?
I enjoy the feeling as soon as I'm out of it.
After, so you
Because
don't enjoy
absolute
getting in.
agony.
Oh, I
but,
like actually
after.
like it.
Absolute agony.
It fires me up.
Yeah.
Horrible agony.
But it's like, you know, everyone's like, oh,
I can't breathe.
Oh,
I'm
come
like,
on.
I'm
You
in
need to
there
breathe. You
and
need
I
to
can't
control your
breathe.
breathing.
That's
what.
what, oh my gosh,
Your
you
breathing
sound
is-
just like Elliot.
Yes. Elliot, come on the podcast again. You've already been on. It's like people are like, I can't start my day without the coffee.
Yeah.
The cold shower is my coffee.
Oh, okay.
It fires me up.
It is really
Right.
good.
It's so
it is
good.
excellent.
You get like you get in it straight cold. Don't
Yeah,
turn the heat down. That's the.
I do that. I
Okay.
can't do it the
No,
other
it's
way
no
around.
good.
I can't do it the other way.
I
See,
think
I could do it if it was a hot shower and then I would turn it cold. I could do it.
That's what
So
I
I reckon that's harder.
I do that.
think?
Yes,
No way.
because I'll tell you why. Because you're so used to it, and then it gets colder, and you're like, it's getting colder, and you're like, you don't enjoy it. Whereas you get straight in it, you just go like, bro, yes, come on, and you get fired up, and then you don't use as
running
much
into a
water.
brick
Here's the
wall.
other thing: it's
Yeah,
good.
that's true.
You don't use as much
That's
water
true.
because you
True.
do want to get out because it is getting a
Yeah.
bit cold, especially in winter. And then you get out and you just like start putting your clothes on. You know when you've had like a swim and you're a
Yeah.
bit and you put on like warm clothes. That's that feeling. You get that feeling every single day. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
What about in summer? Do you feel like it still gets cold enough for you to feel like
No, sometimes I'm like, oh, it's not cold enough.
Oh, okay.
But it's like, I'd still rather have a cold shower.
Yeah.
I like when I go to the beach and come home and then have a cold shower as well. Mm-hmm. People that have hot showers after, like, I don't know if I even did this, but people have a hot shower straight after the beach, like come home from the beach. What are you doing? Have a good hard look at yourself in the mirror in the bathroom. Don't touch that hot tap.
That's me.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll remember that next time.
Sure.
Elliot, where are you?
Speaking of Elliot, and actually, I'm as totally against that concept of the not having a hot shower after the beach. I am very content with a hot shower after
If
the
you're
beach.
against that, you're against Elliot.
Sure.
Looks like I'm
and
against
me.
Elliot.
But actually, I think that's a really good segue. But instead of segueing, what we might do is we might save the Elliot piece for the next week's episode, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
And we can wrap this up, and we're going to do a two-parter. And I think that'd be really nice.
Cool.
Thank you for joining us this week.
Yeah,
it feels
thank you.
weird to not end with the question that we usually ask.
But we will.
But we'll get there. So you'll find out about that next week.
Let's wrap up the chips. We'll see you next
Let's
week.
do it.
Sounds good.
My way.
Next time on Chip Lunch. Isn't
And
the
we-
sword like something special though, isn't it?
I don't know how much. So Elliot loves his sword, okay?
See,
And
this is why I wanted to bring it up.
so he has this. So first of all, he has this idea that the sword should be used for all the special life events. So for our wedding, the sword was there, and we cut the cake with the sword.
Yes.
So it was like this cake, and we both have this photo of us cutting the cake. But I don't even know if I should. Okay, I'm just going to say it. He has this idea that when we have kids, he's going to bring his sword into the labor ward and
is why I
cut
brought it
the umbilical cord of our
Yeah.
firstborn child
He's told me this.
with
Yeah.
said sword. And I
Tell me that. That is amazing.